Now, my whole main focus before I get into what the Hittites and who they are was when it came to the Ammonites and the Moabites, was because a lot of people do actually think it's all blacks. We have a lot of brothers and sisters of the Israelite nation that will try to coerce a lot of other black women and men, you know, to, hey, they're the people. And if these people do not care, they don't want to hear it, and they technically really don't care about it, and don't have nothing to do with it, you don't know what their ancestry past is. And spiritually, if they're not connecting with it, feeling it, and if it's not even a jump start with them inside of it, that means they might be one either or of a Moabite or an Ammonite. And then you have others that will put a lot of paganistic into whatever, with their bitterness, rearing what they are when it comes to these Moabites and Ammonites. So let's don't get caught in the crossfire by our characteristics and our actions, because a Hebrew and an Israelite carries this way in a certain form of fashion for all of those that are still bitter out there. So I hope you get the point that I'm trying to prove. So who are the Hittites? If we want to get into the Hittites, we need to see why Esau went to him. Then we need to look at the characteristic, all right, of the people in the Hebrew and the Israelites. Because we see that they got a thing with hair. They like hair. So who's Becky with the good hair? Now, if we go all the way back to Genesis, we see that an atrocity was committed with Eve, Cain, and then out of Cain came Nimrod, this, that, and the third. Then all of a sudden, the angels seen that, the watchers seen the men of women, the women of men, and their hair. So who is the Becky that they seen back then with the good hair? Now, if I get into the scientific side of it, the oldest Neanderthal that they found had blue eyes, a very dark brown complexion, was dark skinned, with straight black hair. Scripture say sign on his head. I don't think he sat down and he stamped them, because we're starting to learn that this was all about a separation of a spiritualism way of Satan having his own dominion race, trying to wipe out what God created. So this is why we see so much racism, segregation, separation, because it's a spiritual warfare. So who in the heck is Becky with the good hair? Flinging around like she just don't care. We go back to the Hamitic side, We go back to the Hamitic side, and we see that out of them were the builders and all this other stuff. If we go to history, we see the oldest race to come out of the Hamitic side, because there was a difference with the Semitic side. That was rivalries with all the stuff that was going on with the Hamitics and the Semitics that came out of them and migrated down to Minor in Asia was who? The people from India. Okay, so we have the word Hittite, just another word for Hindu. Now, I left the link below. I want everybody to look at the languages, who they split off with, and the whole 9 yards. But I'm going to try to stay on scripture, all right? And another one with the story about whatever in the rivalry. Just add it up. This is without trying to get into all the haplogroups in the whole 9 yards. Now we go back and we see in the scripture that the Hittites are referred to as a mother, all right, with the goddesses and the goddess and the name, and everybody mess with her gods and all this other stuff. It's a her. In the haplogroup and in history, there is the L chromosome that have broken off with the female DNA and chromosomes and created a lot of other nations that a lot of other nations come from. Okay? Scientists know this, and it came from a lot of sides. A lot of the different Asian nations are mothered by India. If you don't see the characteristics, and notice somebody from India if they're around, and you'll see the women carry a very, very strong rapport, personality, and rapport about themselves. All right, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna see them slapping their husbands and somebody in the back of the head telling them go and da-da-da. Very strong, strong personality, and very strong-willed women. Okay, and they know, and a lot of them do know the history. They know that Chinese and Japanese came out of it, and then you got the Koreans and all so on and so forth. Okay, a lot of people don't think look at. A lot of people don't even know that there's a lot of Mexicans that are Mongolian. Then you got your Hungarian. You even have white Asians like the Ukrainians and all of them, which is why you see a lot of, look at the newscasts, all them with the eyes. They have the Asian eyes with the blue, and they always come from that little area in Pakistan or you know, Albania and all that little over there where the Asians and everybody mix in at. All right, Mongolian. Does the Bible speak about Mongolian or the Mongols? Let's see. We have Zechariah chapter 9, verse 5, and Ashkelon, where the ash tribe, all the ash trees and everything was, shall see it and be frightened. Gaza shall tremble violently, and Ekron, at the collapse of her hopes. Remember, there's always a her, and this is how we refer to them, because they mothered a lot of nations, not fathered. Remember, he made man and the whole 9 yards of family, everything in a man's will, not for a woman. Remember all this other I don't want to get into the equality and all that other stuff with the women and the men. But remember, her, and the goddesses. Kingship shall vanish from Gaza, Ashkelon shall be without inhabitants, and a mongrel people shall settle in Ashdod. This is right here in Zechariah chapter 9, verse 5. In some people's it says bastard, illegitimate something else, or whatever. But this is right here, the scrolls, these are scriptures, the Tanakh. The mongrel people. Who are the mongrels and the Mongols and all this other stuff? Bingo. Even back then. So you have a lot of different cultures that came out of one that are just labeled probably the Hittites. Nobody's seeing it. So those are your Hittites right there. The people from India, they mothered, excuse my language, they mothered a lot of nations on down. Then that's when you have, you know, the leprosy and the changing of skin. Then you have the Europeans, which broke down to a lot of these people that came out of, you know, the Hamitic side. And then they got fused off with the Neanderthals and all that, And these are these people right here. This is when you get into, like, all right, William Harvey. All right, what is he? You see his haplogroup, and he was the one mysterious so white. Then you have Napoleon, the Wright brothers, Albert Einstein, Hitler, Lyndon Johnson, Sir David Attenborough. All right, all of these people. E1, B1s. The ones that mysteriously turn white. And then we see the atrocities and whole 9 yards of Greed, Second Kings. The greed, how they were, it always breaks down to a characteristics. Then you have your other side, B1, B2s. So there's a lot of things people don't know. Remember, one man fathered half of Europe. Western Europe was fathered by one man. The scientists just figured that all out. And the big thing about it is that they said, okay, so what? But the whole thing is that the whole half of Western Europe had the Illuminati, one world. It had that, the whole Egyptian, whatever, all that stuff, it carried that same attribute and characteristic and hierarchy. And that's crazy. That's what they were really bugging off of. So you got your Hittites and all the Asians and everything that came out of one side with the MY, the female chromosome, and then you have the Hamitic side. Then you have these one little people. That's why I spoke earlier, if you look at my videos, that the E1, B2s, the M96, the M91, all the major ones, and me being the A1, B2, M91, boom, and that's it right there. So that's why you do not get into, and I do not get into the genealogy, the lineage. It's confusing. And then you can have a bad apple in every bunch. So it does not make a difference who is who and what is who. You can only tell if they're spiritually connected, if they are a kind person, their characteristics and personality, and who they are on the inside, not the outside, because the outside will fool you. The old saying, never judge a book by its cover. There's a lot of dirty little old books that are dusty, and the page and the covers looks nasty or ripped off in whole 9 yards, but inside carries ancient knowledge. So are you going to judge that book with all the ancient knowledge that it has inside and never open it up and learn and grow? Or are you going to sit down and take your time to say, you know what, let me see what's on the inside? Because see, there's tricks and trades to life. And if there's a new covenant that everybody can be brought in and grafted into with the olive tree, then maybe you need to get down where it gets down, or lay down where you need to lay down. Because the Lord, one true God, Yeshua, Yahweh, and the only begotten Son, Yeshua, is not playing no games. We see a lot of prophecies coming true and being fulfilled, and nobody's taking this serious.